Uh-oh.
Hi, Williamson. I'm a faculty member here at AIM. I don't have the handout with me. I just had a few seconds to look at the table on industrial catch-up as the Latin American table. So I had a few seconds. But over those few seconds, I thought I saw that some of the story changed a bit, especially in the ISI period, if you restrict the analysis to just the panel observations. That is, the 4 countries or so that were present, that are present at every period. And so instead of Latin America on average catching up very quickly during the ISI period, in fact, the catch-up is much lower, even negative, if you restrict it to the 4 or 5 countries that are present throughout the different periods you look at, including Argentina. And I was wondering what's driving that.
Good point, Erwin. And part of it may be, is there actually chalk? Or has this technology disappeared? Excellent. I always feel better when I have chalk. What I didn't say anything about, and the paper upon which this is based doesn't, what it says is, I promise in the future to take care of this problem, is that like any innovation, so whether it's laptops or industrialization across the third world, so I have some measure of frequency along that axis in time, it obeys that kind of movement. They all do. All new innovations start slow and then accelerate, and then, you know, that's kind of 100. Everybody has a laptop, you know, it's displaced whatever else you were using before you had a laptop. So that's what the pattern looks like. And the same thing is going to be true for industrialization. Right? You start off slow, you have slow growth rates, and then you picks up steam, and you accelerate as you learn how to do things right, and all the things that interact positively with each other do. And then what happens here? Well, you've industrialized. That is, you know, countries that are industrialized, fully industrialized, you know, have 30% or something of their GDP in industry. So when they reach that level, they've done the job, and the growth rate begins to drop off. And indeed, if this was growth rates, it might become negative. Indeed, the U.S. has been deindustrializing since the 1970s. That is, it's moved out of industry into higher skill-intensive sectors, service sectors. Okay, so all countries, if this is then now in growth rates, should pass through something like that. Different timing as to who begins when, and just exactly how fast depends on all these things we've been talking about. What I have not done with this data is to adjust by this fact of life. And if Latin America starts first, they are farther along than anywhere else, and they're already starting to pass out of the industrialization phase when we're looking at ISI. And maybe they're so hot for ISI because they know they're losing it, and the lobbying pressure in industry, of course, is struggling to keep the protection, perhaps. So in the next version you see, we will have estimated some kind of diffusion curve, Aaron, and then adjust all these numbers accordingly. Will it matter? I don't think it's going to matter a lot, but it will matter for Latin America. I think you picked the one where it'll matter most, and especially that kind of disappointing performance in ISI. It's kind of predictable once you start thinking in those terms. Yeah.